Great. Yeah, thanks, Louise. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, I'll drop everything over to you this afternoon. Okay. Yep. Thanks for that. Bye. Right, that's that done. Thank goodness. I've been putting that off for ages. I should probably tidy up my emails. I've been meaning to set up some new folders for a while. Oh, come on, Alex, you're avoiding. You're going to have to ring them sooner or later. I know, I'd just rather it was later. I hate doing these calls. I know, it's part of the job and I just need to suck it up and get on with it. I never know what to say, though. How do you even start that kind of conversation? You say the wrong thing at the start and it feels like it's game over. You're never going to win them over after that, or get across what you really want to. The pressure can feel overwhelming. Part of the problem is I never actually looked after Mandy. I mean, I knew of her and I'd met her a few times, but I wasn't one of the team directly involved in her care. I've looked through her file and all the case notes and the information, but the trouble is they sometimes get so angry and it feels personal. And don't get me wrong, I get it. I really do, and they have every right to feel like that. They're grieving. I would never want to deny them that, of course. It's just that when that happens, my mind goes blank. They're firing question after question at me, and I can't think quickly enough. I end up frantically trying to scramble through the notes and formulate a response, and it feels interminable. That gap, the silence. I know we don't need to have all the answers, but it feels like we do, and I'm frustrated when I don't. I feel somehow like I'm letting them down. It's no use. Can't put this off any longer. I need to make contact with the Wilsons. Actually, before I ring, I better make sure that the family called her Mandy and not Amanda. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Good morning. Is that Mrs. Wilson?
Yes, it is. Who's speaking?
Hello, Mrs. Wilson. My name's Alex Connor. I'm calling from Oxford Health in relation to Mandy's death. Are you available to talk at the moment?
I suppose so.
You're not out and about?
No, I'm at home.
Firstly, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry this has happened.
Thank you.
Are you and your husband being supported? Do you have family and friends round?
My sister's coming over most days and people are dropping in.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're getting some support there. How are you coping?
How do you think? We're not.
Of course. I appreciate this is a very difficult time for you and for the family. Another reason for my call is I wanted to let you know about Oxford Health Trust Family Liaison Service. They offer bereavement support, listening, and they can help signpost you to some appropriate local support services. If you'd like, I can organise for them to make contact with you.
I'm not sure. I'd want to talk to my husband first.
Absolutely. Would you value a call with me again in a couple of days? Or if you prefer, I can arrange to visit you in a few days' time.
Actually, that would be good. There's an awful lot we don't understand about what happened. You were the team looking after her and you should have seen what was coming. You should have spotted it. Why didn't that happen?
I understand that you'll have lots of questions about what happened with Mandy. It'll be good to have that time to talk things through with you. Now, the visit will be with me, and it may be that I bring another member of the team with me. Would that be all right?
I suppose so.
In the meantime, I could also drop you an email with information on local support agencies that you and your husband could perhaps look through when you feel able, and we could talk through them together when we meet.
Okay.
How does Wednesday the 12th at 1 p.m. work for you?
Fine.
Okay, Mrs. Wilson. Once again, I really am very sorry this has happened. I'll see you on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Would you like me to follow up in writing our visit and what we've talked about today?
No, it's okay. I'll see you on Wednesday.
In the meantime, please do call if you have any questions or you need any further help.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm supposed to be seeing the Wilsons this afternoon, and Melissa's just emailed to say she's off sick. Great. I would have really valued her being there for this one. I guess I could give them a ring and see if I could rebook for Friday. She might be back by then. That doesn't feel very fair. I know they're going to have lots of questions. Mrs. Wilson pretty much said that on the phone. I think I'll be okay with it. I don't want to have to delay seeing them. I want them to know that we're there and we support them. I've got space this morning. I think I'll give Mark a ring and see if he's got time for a coffee, and then I could talk it through with him before I go. That way I'll feel more confident and I can get some headspace before I go in. Yeah, I'll give him a call now.
I'm sorry, it's just me. David didn't want to be here for this in the end.
That's all right. Everybody deals with things differently. There's no right or wrong here. And I'll be more than happy to come back later on down the line if David has any questions.
I thought you said you'd have a colleague coming along with you.
Yes, unfortunately Melissa's not very well today, so it's just me. But are you happy to chat to me today?
I guess so, it's all the same.
When we spoke on the phone, you said your sister was dropping in most days. Is she still providing support for you and your husband?
Yes, she's coming over later, as a matter of fact. She's been very good, actually. We didn't always get on growing up.
That's great that you're getting that support there, and lovely that you're rediscovering your relationship with her.
Yes, it is. It's something, I suppose.
I appreciate this is a really difficult time for you and your family, Sarah. Are you happy for me to call you Sarah?
Yes.
You've experienced one of the worst things possible, and I can't imagine what you and your family are going through. Again, I'm sorry, and I know I speak for the whole team when I say that we're just sorry you're going through this. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, and part of the purpose of my visit today is to answer what I can, and where I can't, hopefully at least signpost you to where you can get the right support.
Okay, thank you.
How are you coping at the moment?
I don't think I am, to be honest. It all feels so surreal. I spend a lot of my time feeling like I'm outside of my own body, looking in. It's like it's happening to someone else. I want to shake this person I'm watching. I want to scream at them, but I can't. I'm powerless somehow.
Do you find anything helps when you're experiencing that?
It does help when my sister comes round.
Tell me a bit more about what she does that helps.
I suppose Laura was always a doer. She takes charge and gets on with things. She's a banker in the city. I suppose people would say she's a high flyer, but when she comes, she just organises and creates a bit of routine. Liam gets home from school about 4 and Laura's usually here by then. And she just talks and organises people.
Are the rest of the family appreciative of that?
David, not so much. He's angry so much of the time. I am as well, but I think I disguise it better. I think Liam appreciates the routine.
How old is Liam?
He'll be 14 next month.
And how's he doing with all this?
He doesn't say much. I suppose everyone would say, well, that's normal for teenagers, but it's not for him.
When a close family member dies by suspected suicide...
Why are you saying suspected?
It's normal in these situations that a suicide is suspected until a verdict is received by the coroner.
Right, okay. You were saying something.
Yes, when a close family member dies by suspected suicide, it's likely that people will feel all sorts of different emotions. You're already describing some of them, and it can feel very overwhelming, and that's just as true for Liam. It can be helpful to know that that's completely normal and that there's support for Liam as well. Seesaw are a great organisation and really experienced in providing grief support for young people. If you like, I can leave their details and you can have a look through it. How would you feel about talking to Liam about something like that?
I don't know. I will have a look through the stuff, though.
Great. When we spoke on the phone, you said you had lots of questions. What would you like to ask me?
I just want to know how this happened.
Tell me a bit more about what you're wanting to discover.
Well, she was doing better. I know the SSRIs hadn't been great, but the new drug she was on seemed to be working. She was being looked after by your team. You should have seen the signs. You should have spotted this and done something about it.
It's really understandable in situations like these to feel the need to make sense of things, to know why. In my experience, people often want to know what others and sometimes even themselves could have done to have prevented a tragedy like this from happening. Unfortunately, in reality, there are rarely clear-cut answers to those questions. That's why it's so important to talk, and for you and David and Liam to get all the support that you need.
So you did miss something then?
That's not what I'm saying, Sarah. We can talk more about the process and what happens next at another time. But rest assured, everybody involved in Mandy will be part of the process of discovering what happened.
We were away when it happened. David and I decided to go on a little city break to Brighton just to get away from it all. Mandy really encouraged us to go. I didn't want to, but she was so insistent. I should have known.
It must be very difficult for you, for both of you. Feeling like we missed something that somehow we could have intervened to have stopped this from happening is completely normal. This wasn't your fault, Sarah.
Feels like it was. I know David feels horrendous because going away was his idea. And because Sally found her.
Who's Sally?
Sally's Mandy's best friend. Was Mandy's best friend. I don't know how I'm going to get used to saying that. It sounds so final. They were friends at school, and Sally was brilliant when Mandy attempted this the first time 4 years ago. When she came out of hospital, she didn't want to stay with us. I think she thought it would be too much for us, and Liam was only 9 then. So she stayed with Sally for a couple of years, and then when she was ready, Sally helped her to find the flat and get her set up. So when she found her, God, I can't bear it.
It's been very difficult for Sally. I can see how much you care about her as well.
Of course we do. We've hardly seen anything of her since. I don't think she can bear to be around us.
Like I said, everybody deals with grief differently. Some people do withdraw. I can see how concerned you are about Sally. Would you like me to make contact with her and just check in and see how she's doing?
Would you?
Of course, I can grab her details from you before I leave.
Thank you. I'm so worried about her. Do you think she'll end up with PTSD or something like that?
I can't pretend that Sally hasn't experienced something very difficult in finding Mandy the way that she did. And I think you recognise that yourself. What we can do is make sure that Sally has all the support that she needs and encourage her to access it. I'll make contact with her this week and give her all the information about what she could access.
I appreciate that, thank you.
I'm conscious that we've already talked about quite a few things, and it might be that you forget a lot of what I've said as soon as I've gone out of the door. That's very normal. I imagine that you feel very shocked, and when we're in that state of shock, it can be very difficult to remember things. So I'll leave you with a couple of booklets and some literature. One of the booklets, Help Is at Hand, is a really useful guide for making sense of what you're feeling, and also to help you know a bit more about what to expect over the coming weeks or months. Don't read it cover to cover. Just dive into it when you feel able. And if you want to put it in a drawer and forget about it for now, that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it's just enough to know that it's there. And if you have any questions or you forget anything I've said, then please do just pick up the phone and give me a ring. And the same goes for David as well.
Thank you.
You're experiencing one of the worst things imaginable. And the one thing that you can do is to be kind. To be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. It's okay not to be okay. Just keep talking to each other, keep looking after each other just as you are doing. And when you feel ready, then do access the support that's there for you. All right?
Thanks, Alex. I really appreciate you saying that.
Is there anything else that you want to ask me or anything you'd like me to go through?
Nothing I can think of at the moment. Thank you.
I was so worried about that conversation before I went in there. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it before, it still feels like the unknown, you know? You have no idea how it's going to go. I mean, there's themes for sure. There's typical things that you know might happen, but you never know quite which direction it'll take. You don't feel like you can preempt it. I think that's it. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much prep you do, it doesn't feel enough. I don't know if that'll ever change, to be honest. I think I do it because I want to be a human being for them in that moment. There are a few moments I thought I was going to cry in there. I could feel the tears just sitting there ready to fall, and I'm desperately willing them not to roll down my cheek. I'm there for them, for Sarah, to be a rock, to provide support and be a professional who's simply there to support and answer questions. So the last thing she needed was me having a moment. But that's hard. You're affected by it. You know, I hadn't had much to do with Mandy, and when she's asking me why we didn't spot it, you know, and the problem is I'm asking myself the same question. Did we miss something? Should we have picked something up that we didn't? Our service is no different to anywhere else. We're overworked a lot of the time and understaffed, and I know we're a good team and we work bloody hard, but you can't help but ask yourself the question, can you? I guess that's normal. But I found it hard to answer that, and I did with Sarah. Hope I said the right thing. You don't want to get defensive, but you also don't want to just avoid the question completely. I think I communicated that I heard her, but that it wasn't a helpful question to get into. I don't know, I hope I did. It's interesting, you come out of these meetings and you just feel done in. It's utterly physical, this feeling of exhaustion. Came out and just got into the car and, well, truth be told, I did have a little moment on my own. I'm not ashamed of that. Men have feelings too. I just wanted to close my eyes and rest. You realise you've been holding your body in this high state of physical tension for the last 30 minutes or so, and then you come out and breathe. It all catches up with you. I remember early on I'd not been in the team very long, and a colleague said to me, whatever you do, when you organise these types of visits, make sure you're not running on to the next visit or meeting, because you'll need some time to yourself. You know, she was absolutely right. I just needed a little while to gather my thoughts and have a little headspace. I stopped at a little coffee shop I know on the way back to the office, and I got myself a coffee and just sat and took in the environment. For me, there's something really grounding about that. It just allows me to re-enter the real world for a minute before I go back. I'm going to give Mark a ring in a minute. It's always good, I think, to just talk afterwards. It's got to be someone you trust for sure, but it's good to debrief, and Mark's really good to talk to. He's really empathetic, but he always asks me good questions too that kind of help me know that I did a good job, but also helps me think about what I might do differently next time.
If I'm honest, I didn't think that meeting was going to be remotely useful, but, well, I guess I'm glad it happened now. I really only agreed to it because I wanted to know what they'd missed and why they hadn't picked up on what was going on with Mandy. I didn't actually get an answer to that, but I think I'm okay with that, at the moment anyway. The question comes back to me at points, and with it this wave of emotion that feels overwhelming. Alex was really good though. It got off to a good start because I didn't feel judged when I had to tell him that David wasn't going to be there. I don't know why, but it sort of felt like another failure somehow, that he was too angry to be in the room, and I didn't have the energy to try and convince him. But Alex just took that in his stride and said he'd come back to speak to him at another time if he wanted. I suppose it made me feel like that with that maybe Mandy's team would be available if we needed them, that it wouldn't be a case of out of sight, out of mind. I think the biggest thing was that I felt heard, that I was able to say what I wanted to say and ask what I needed to ask. The fact that someone actually took time to come and see me and express the fact that they were sorry it had happened. I can't tell you how much that meant, how personal it was. I guess ultimately I got what I needed from it, stuff I didn't necessarily even know I needed. I hadn't even thought about the fact that there might be support for Liam. He's at that age when the last people he wants to speak to are his mum and his dad. And he's such a sensitive boy. I can see how he's worrying about us, and it breaks my heart. It's not his job, it's a parent's job to worry about their children, not the other way around. Anyway, it felt like Alex genuinely cared about what was happening. And he was honest about stuff as well, even about the fact that he'd never actually been one of Mandy's main carers, but it didn't matter. I've got people to talk to about Mandy, you know, who she was, our memories. I didn't want or need that from him. It was practical, I suppose. I really appreciated the fact that there wasn't anything complex in it all. It was just clear. Already I can't remember anything he said, but he validated that, you know. He left me with some literature, not loads, but enough for now. I've put it in the kitchen drawer. I'm not ready to get it out yet and look at it, but it's there for when I'm ready to. And he's going to speak to Sally, and I'm so pleased he's going to do that. I've been worrying about her. I can't imagine what she's going through.